Spider-Man Beginnings. Peter Parker was just an average teenager from Queens, New York. He lived with his Auntie May and Uncle Ben. He attended Midtown High. Peter was very studious and was considered one of the smartest kids in the school. Unfortunately, Peter's good grades didn't make him very popular with some classmates. Flash Thompson, the school bully, regularly tormented Peter. One day, Flash pushed him to the ground and Peter's books and papers scattered everywhere. School was tough for Peter, but he was very happy at home. Auntie May and Uncle Ben loved him completely, and Peter wanted nothing more than to make them feel proud of him. One night over dinner, Pete told Auntie May and Uncle Ben that he was thinking about becoming a scientist someday. Science was one of his favorite subjects at school, and Peter loved going to school lab after class and testing out his own experiments. Uncle Ben told Peter that a career in science would give him his great power, but he also reminded him that with great power comes great responsibility. Peter's life changed one day while he was at a school trip to the science hall. He was excited to see real-life scientists at work, but while Peter looked around exhibits, a spider passed through some radioactive rays. Peter was so distracted he didn't even see the radioactive spider heading right towards him. The radioactive spider bit Peter! Peter could never have imagined what an impact this one bite could have on his life. He discovered he had a spider-like superpowers. Peter worked hard to figure out how to control his new powers using his vast knowledge of science. He also made a web shooter and practiced shooting them in the entire bedroom. Peter's super strong webs stuck to every surface. Soon, his entire room was covered in webs. Okay, it's not as easy as it looks, Peter muttered to itself. It took lots of practice and more than one mess up for Peter to learn how to master his newfound skills. But with time and effort, before Peter knew he could cling to walls, super strong and had spider sense, a strong tingling feeling that alerted him to danger. Peter wanted to keep his identity a secret, so he stayed up all night creating a spider suit and mask. He even stitched a large spider to the front of it. As Spider-Man, Peter was extremely powerful. Like all teenagers, Peter wanted to make money, so he needed a job where he could use his powers to his advantage. So Peter became a wrestler. Peter used his strength to beat every opponent in his face. One night, Peter noticed a wrestler gym had been robbed. but instead stopping the thief. Peter turned his blind eye and let the robber get away. It was a decision that would change his life forever. Late at night, when Peter got home, he saw police cars in front of the house. He raced inside and found that someone had viciously attacked Uncle Ben. Auntie May and Peter were devastated. The police officers told Peter not to worry because they had tracked the criminal to an old warehouse. Peter knew he had to take matters into his own hands, so he determined to avenge Uncle Ben. Peter put on his Spider-Man suit and swam through the city. Peter arrived at the warehouse before the police. The thief tried to escape, but Spider-Man shot a large web at him and trapped the crook. Spider-Man looked down at the thief's bag of money. He was sure he'd seen it somewhere before. Peter took a good look at the man and realized that it was the same criminal he had to escape from the wrestling gym. Peter desperately wished he had stopped the thief. He vowed that from then on, he would help others whenever it was his power. He would never let anything like this happen again. The next day, Spider-Man heard about another criminal on the loose in Manhattan. Spider-Man swung down the comfort. The villain was Electro. The hero used his web shooters, and after a few tries, the supervillain was defeated. A few nights later, Spider-Man found the supervillain Joker trying to rob a bank. "Gotcha!" Spider-Man shouted as his web shook as metal bullets and knocked him to the floor. As he swung away, a policeman pulled up to find a shocker trap on the ground. In that moment, Spider-Man realized it was a destiny to always protect others, and if they worked hard enough, maybe one day he could become a great superhero. Spider-Man turned back to the words that Uncle Ben always used to say. With great power comes with great responsibility.